Strong day on trade on the Lal Street. Nifty and Sensex gain nearly 1%. Nifty nears the 25,000 mark. IT and Realty lead from the front. Broader markets gain in line with the blue chips.
Tata Motors, Arm, Jaguar Land Rover tells investors its profitability is expected to take a significant hit in FY26 and its free cash flows can dive to near zero from £1.5 billion last fiscal.
Sun Pharma will get a new MD on September 1st in Kirti Ganarkar as founder and current CMD Dilip Sangvi steps back to focus on strategy and the specialty portfolio. Hello and welcome to Markets Forward, your go-to show where we aim to get you all the key data points to gear you up for the next trading day. I'm Ekta Batra and with me is my colleague Vinny Motiwala. Hi Vinny, well it turned out to be a session where we did see some amount of green on the screen and a good pullback for the markets, especially in the second half.
Absolutely, an interesting day coming in, not much of a Monday blue, at least we saw good green for the screen, recovery from the day's lowest point, Nifty up more than 200 points, so I think there was nothing to complain about in today's trading day as well, specifically.
Yes, absolutely, and you know what seemed to have stood out is that the Nifty is inching towards 25,000 and we're probably making our mark towards that. Separately, the advance decline ratio did definitely turn in favor of the advances, so if you saw, we started off extremely weak, but by the end of trade, you can see that crisscross that took place and the advances in fact took over the declines and that seemed to have stood out. In terms of stocks, we had ONGC, a lot of the life insurance stocks, we had others such as Ultratech Cement, all of these stocks which really gained, giving you a sense that the gains that we saw was sector agnostic in today's trading session.
Absolutely, and a lot of the broader end of the market also, the mid and small cap, because Nifty mid cap saw very good recovery as well. So that is something that we should be keeping an eye out on. Nifty mid cap, look at it. It was in the red significantly and then that recovery came up for the Nifty mid cap. Similarly for the Nifty small cap as well, a good move that came in. At one point of time, Nifty mid cap was underperforming, but a recovery from the day's lowest point, managing to close on the positive side is something that was interesting there. But we have an exciting lineup for you all here on the show today. We'll start with the top movers and shakers of the day with Vivek, and then there are top buzzers. Tata Motors was buzzing in today's trading session and the stock fell after JLR commentary that came in for FY26. We also had IGL and PI Industries that surged in trade today, and this was after a couple of brokerage notes that came in for both these stocks. Last but not the least, we'll delve into the key market events to watch out for in tomorrow's trading session. So that'll be on the top of our list.
Alright, but on to our first segment of the day. Vivek joins in now from the big wall with all of the top movers and shakers.
Well, thank you so much for that. Like you rightly mentioned, second half of the session, we did see the line, especially as far as the broader end of the markets, inching towards the list of gainers. Well, when you're talking about the list of gainers, you can't look beyond IGL, one of the top gainers as far as the broader end of the market was concerned. News reports are indicating that the Delhi government may ease earlier proposed changes to the EV policy, and this is something that analysts as well as Citi believes could be quite positive for the company. The other stock that did very well, especially in the broader end of the market, was Galaxy Surfactants. The company held the analyst meet over the weekend, and very strong guidance given over there, especially in terms of the internal targets that the company managed to go ahead and share with the analyst community. The insurance set of stocks, they did quite well in the session. In fact, some of the top gainers on the Nifty were insurance names, SBI Life as well as HDFC Life among the top Nifty gainers. One stock, from the broader end of the market that did quite well in the session on the back of an order win was Newgen Software, over 4% higher, multi-year deal that the company announced to the exchanges earlier today. And along with that, the mid-cap IT pack, that clearly stood out. Lot of momentum in that particular space. The names like Persistence, Emphasis, all of them gaining more than 2% of the session. A few laggards as well, not too many, but Tata Motors clearly stood out over there. A guidance cut coming in for JLR, EBIT margin getting trimmed, and on the back of that, one of the top laggards on the Nifty. You also saw shipbuilders, the stocks that have rallied significantly take a bit of a pause today. Mascot Dock managing to recover quite a bit of ground, but still 1% lower today. And CCL Products, one of the top laggards as far as the NSE 500 was concerned. That particular stock ended lower by almost 3%. Not too many laggards in what is essentially a strong trading session today.
Absolutely, not too many laggards. A good strong session. Thank you so much for that, Vivek. Those were the top stock movers, but thank you for that. Now let's go across to our guest for today. We have Anand Tandon, market expert, and Jay Thakkar of ICICI Securities with us. Jay, I just want to understand in terms of levels, that we're actually keeping an eye out on now for the Nifty 50. 25,000 every time we just go about that mark and then we start seeing a fall coming in. What are we watching out for this time? Do you think that if we touch the 25,000 now, maybe that could see a bit of up move from here on, or is it still uncertain?
Hi, very good afternoon to you, Vini. Well, I would say that 25,000 still remains, a critical resistance. But then, taking off would not clear, hurdle. I would say, because what happened the last time is that Nifty was actually struggling to move beyond the levels of 25,000. Was falling within that range of 24,400, 500 on the downside to 25,000. Probably, it was precisely 25,100. So that was 500 to 600 points range which got took off. In fact, Nifty thereafter, managed to close about these 25,000 levels for almost 2 to 3 consecutive trading sessions, made a high of 25,200 plus levels. So now I think the range has shifted upwards to 25,200 to 250 zone. Just being about 25,000 would not clearly indicate a breakout, because it has actually moved above and below these levels many a times. So it's been floating around these levels. So now precisely 25,250. That's very critical level to have a final breakout on Nifty. The range has widened as compared to previous one. It was 600 points range. Now it is almost 750 points range. So that is widened. I think only about 25,250. You will be having a further confirmation of a breakout. Till then, you can assume that the market is still trading within the range.
Okay, quite a wide range you are pointing out there. But Anand, we seem to have shrugged off all of the concerns today, may it be global, may it be Brent crude. What do you think the market is thinking, and what's your sense in terms of what the FIIs did today?
You are assuming that the market is thinking. If it was, it shouldn't be where it is. So at this stage, I think it's more liquidity than anything else, and complete lack of understanding of the level of risk one is running. So at this stage, as I was saying in the previous segment, the best thing is to hold on to your positions and ride with the market. But think about it. You are at best 1,100 rupees EPS on the Nifty for the next year, for the current year, which means at 2,500 you are already trading at around 22, 23 times. That doesn't give you much upside. That is already at the highest level, and that is when the earnings are very, very anemic. At the end of the day, we are at single digits, and while the current consensus assumes that there is a double-digit earnings growth, my own estimate is that again you will get a single-digit earnings growth in the current year as well. So I don't see where fundamentally there is an upside. Now, when people say that we are, magically turning bottom up and simultaneously are fully invested, I find that a contradiction which I cannot reconcile. You cannot be fully invested as a fund at the same time be a bottom-up player. Because if you are a bottom-up player, it assumes that you have to find valuations which are comfortable, and if they are not comfortable, you will be out of it waiting till you find that, which is what, for example, Warren Buffett is doing in Berkshire. That is bottom-up investing, not when you are fully invested and running with the market. So my simple suggestion is stay with your asset allocation, don't be very adventurous, and just ride this out.
Absolutely. Don't be very adventurous. Stay with your asset allocation. But let's get started with the first stock for today that was in focus, and that was Tata Motors, because it fell nearly 4%. And this came in after JLR told investors that it is expected to take a significant hit in FY26. So Darshan is joining you with us to give us the details of what actually came out of this, what was the outlook that the JLR gave for FY26 as well. So Darshan.
So while market overall today had a very strong start to the week, one stock that has not participated in today's rally was Tata Motors, and it's on the back of JLR's muted outlook for FY26. So JLR is holding Investor Day meet today, and ahead of Investor Day, today early in the morning, JLR has released investor presentation giving FY26 outlook. Now in that, on EBIT margin front, company is saying that in FY26, EBIT margin is going to be in the range of 5 to 7% versus 8.5% reported in FY25. On free cash flow, it's saying that it would be close to zero against 1.5 billion pounds it saw in FY25. But beyond FY26, over FY27-28, it's saying that cash flow is expected to improve. Even EBIT margin term target on EBIT margin is to getting back to the levels around 10%. Also, it has made certain comments related to US tariff issue. It's saying that it's in engagement with both US and UK governments. As far as UK exports to the US is concerned, for that tariff is going to come down to 10% versus current rate of 27.5%. Another important market for JLR, Slovakia, for where it exports its products. For that, tariff is going to remain at 27.5%. Now coming to another important market for JLR, that is China. In China, it's saying that for premium market, while market was challenging in FY25, JLR has basically done better than its peers. And going forward, it's saying that because of Freelander, it's going to do well in China. And first Freelander company is looking to launch in H2 of FY26. And over FY24-28, total investment that company is looking to make is $15 billion. But the main reason why the stock was under pressure was JLR's muted outlook for FY26.
Okay, well, Sudarshan, stay on. You're also looking at IGL. So if you could tell us more about that stock.
So IGL was amongst top mid-cap gainers today. It was at one point was up more than 7%, and the reason over the last few months we have seen several reports related to Delhi EV policy. Now we understand that our sister channel Awaz has reported that Delhi's government is going to consider easing the EV policy. But more than that, what is most important is that it's also going to consider easing the cab aggregator policy announced by the previous Aam Aadmi Party government in November of 2023. And as per that policy, government was looking to basically regulate cab aggregators and also e-commerce players having more than 25 fleet. But now today also Citi has come out with a note on IGL after this update, and it has a buy call on the stock with a target of 250 per share. It's saying that earlier government's policy of all electric fleet transition by 2030 had dampened IGL's volume growth prospects. But now with new government, as per reports, is considering to ease the policy, it will help volume grow for IGL because cab aggregator contributes 12 to 15% to IGL's volume. Second important part is the CNG three-wheelers. As per the reports in the policy, CNG three-wheelers transition is unlikely. Now that contributes around 3 to 5% to IGL's volume. And last part is Delhi DTC bus, for which electrification is almost complete, and contribution to IGL's volume by Delhi DTC is already down to 2 to 3% versus earlier contribution of 7 to 8%. So overall, it's looking positive for IGL, and that's the reason you have seen a big move in today, and at the end it was up almost 7%.
Absolutely, Sudarshan. Ending with gains of almost 7% in today's trading session. That was IGL. Anand, I'm going to come to you. I want to understand specifically in terms of Tata Motors, right? The outlook that we are seeing coming in from JLR, worried about cash flow concerns also. They're saying it could be zero next year as well. Does this overall get a bit of a sense in terms of a concern that we should watch out for from the auto sector?
Well, of course, but JLR has a bigger problem. They are not really in India. So you are really looking at a global market there, and this was always a concern that at least I have voiced several times in the past, that you cannot have a situation where the global markets are shrinking for the auto, and many of the global companies have also mentioned that the US market, for example, is not doing that well, that JLR would continue to do well. I'm glad that the management has also brought that into their guidance. But that said, there is no question in India we have our own challenges. What with these magnets, etc., not coming through, most of the companies will not be able to provide. More importantly, even with the magnets, I mean, I can't see any company which is doing very well, in any of the segments in the auto space. So tractors may do a little better because it's a little more rural oriented. Two-wheelers, too many of them, the EV market is also booming. And there are so many new players that it's difficult for them to figure out who's going to be the winner. Passenger car market is shrinking actually, other than the fact that the SUVs are doing well. And in the SUV segments, we have a whole range of lined up. So the competition will actually strengthen with a lot. And in my construct, consumer discretionary is going to be a somewhat weak space for the next 12 months going forward. And therefore, it's not something that I would be very bullish on. So net, I would not be very bullish on autos in India over the next at least 12 months.
Okay, not too bullish on autos in the next 12 months, but over to you, Jay. A chart check on both IGL as well as Tata Motors.
So, Ekta, overall, IGL has been trading within this range of say 280, 180 since quite long now, and it's a long consolidation. A lot of government policies or regulations around it is not helping the stock to in fact find the upward momentum. So for me, I think those who have been holding for the long term, with the stop loss of say 180, one can hold, targeting around say 280 on the upside. As far as Tata Motors is concerned, I think that the trend overall is negative out there. So Tata Motors looks to me, negative as of now. I mean, there's again shorts that's getting built up out here. But IGL relatively is better with this kind of a news. I think it might be heading back to 250 to 80 range. That is the upper part of the range. Tata Motors have again started to look negative. In fact, shorts are getting built up out there. So I think any long should be avoided at present right now.
Okay, all right. Well, that's on a couple of these stocks, but let's focus on the pharmaceutical space. Sun Pharma was in the red today. This is after the US drug regulator has issued 8 observations to its Halol facility. The plant, which was inspected from June 2nd to the 13th, was under or is under an import alert since December 2022. Separately, the firm will get a new MD on September 1st in Kirti Ganarkar, who is the current founder and current CMD. Dilip Sangvi has stepped back to focus on strategy and the specialty portfolio. The firm has said that this marks the culmination of structured succession plan at Sun Pharma.
Okay. That is Sun Pharma, but we also have Biocon that was in focus. So shifting focus there, and Ekta, there are some report sources also coming in from Money Control, and the firm is planning to launch the proposed QIP shortly to raise up to 4,500 crore rupees, and this fundraise is aimed at reducing debt and strengthening the balance sheet of the company. The board had given the nod for this fundraise on somewhere around in April this year, so that is an important one there as well, and that's why we're seeing Biocon also closing with gains of 0.5% in the trading session today.
All right, well, PI Industries gained over 4% after the stock got a rating upgrade from global brokerage firm Morgan Stanley. The brokerage has upgraded the firm's rating to overweight with a significant uptick in its target price. Ria joins in with more details.
Well, yes, PI Industries remained in focus in today's trading session after Morgan Stanley came out with a note on the company. They upgraded it to an overweight rating with a target price of rupees 5,000. In fact, they also raised the multiple on PI's agrochemical segment to 23 times, and they've also raised the segment earnings target by 7%, which is being offset by the drag in the company's pharma segment. Now, Morgan Stanley has said that PI has the highest exposure to the agrochemical segment in their coverage, and they believe that the company should see a three-pronged volume increase across the domestic exports and the new molecules businesses as well. They're estimating that the new molecules and biologicals segments will each comprise a third of the custom synthesis exports and domestic portfolios by FY28, and they also think that multiples can re-rate by up to 20% higher to levels seen between 2022 to the first half of FY24, which was a period of robust exports momentum for the company. So overall for the industry, they're expecting a more constructive volume-led agrichem cycle in 2026, which is also going to support stronger asset runs and operating leverage-led margin tailwind. So on the back of this positive note coming in from Morgan Stanley, the stock was up around 4.5% today.
Okay, Ria, thank you so much for that. But thank you so much, Anand, as well as Jay, also for joining with us on the show as always and giving us your views on the markets as well as individual stocks. But on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. And after the break, we'll get to the top corporate voices along with the key market events to watch out for in tomorrow's trading session. Welcome back to Markets Forward on CNBC-TV18. Now going across to the corporate voices and to the corporate corner segment on the show, the management of Prestige Estate is optimistic about the upcoming launches across Bangalore, Chennai as well as Hyderabad and Mumbai. The realty firm believes the first quarter will be one of the strongest quarters ever for the company. It also anticipates 5 to 7% rise in prices in the mid-market segment. And in luxury segment also, the company saying that it expects a large price hike coming in as well. About the hospitality arm, the management said that it is hopeful that Prestige Hospitality will launch its IPO this. It is looking to raise 3,500 crore rupees with this listing and becoming a debt-free company.
Okay, and next up on our list is Birla Corporation. The management expects volume growth in the range of 7 to 8% in FY26 since it doesn't see inorganic opportunities coming its way. It is committed to brownfield expansion, commenting on West Bengal government's decision to revoke incentives. The management says this was pertaining to the past and that it was stopped a while back. In addition, says it is not rattled by the move and that other states are meeting their incentive commitments. The company is still awaiting for the last word from the Bengal government on this. The company was recently declared the preferred bidder for the Goram Khan Dhani in Jaisalmer. On this win, the management says it should not be seen in isolation.
And next on our list is Bellrise Industries. The top boss told CNBC-TV18 that the firm expected to grow in mid-teens in the medium term. It also said that there would be no real impact of the H1 acquisition on the FY25 numbers. In the two-wheeler space, the firm reiterated its position as a top player and said that while it was working with almost all the two-wheelers OEMs, it expected, contribution from its four-wheeler segment to rise significantly over the next 2 to 2.5 years.
Okay, and before we wrap, we'll bring you some key market events to watch out for. Ria is standing by.
Well, yes, let's take a look at the key events to watch out for tomorrow. First up in Europe, we have the economic sentiment data coming out tomorrow. In the US, there's the core retail sales and industrial production data. So keep your eye out on both of these data points for tomorrow. We've also got the FOMC meeting as well as the Bank of Japan interest rate decision happening tomorrow. The IEA comes out with their oil market report as well, and some other events to watch out for. PM Modi will be attending the G7 leaders meeting, and President Trump is also likely to meet the Prime Minister of Japan. Apart from this, nothing significant for the domestic markets, but keep your eye out on all of these international events for tomorrow.
Okay, Ria, thank you so much for that. But with that, we're absolutely out of time on this edition of Markets Forward in CNBC-TV18. Thank you so much for making myself as well as the team who put this show together. But don't go anywhere. Up next, we'll bring you more news and updates on the other side.
चेयर तो लेना चाहिए चेयर नहीं जो बयान दो उसका भी टेंशन मत लो ट्रेन का बस